This is Mike Famill with Dread Central, and I'm here today with Lynn Single, actress, um, and what else? Because you were doing a lot on the set of Inoperable, not just
Well,
acting.
yeah, in Operable, I was props master, so I primarily took care of all the props, but I was also in our department, all of our departments. So Bobby Marinelli was our production designer. So, helped with the sets, and it was crazy. It was chaos, but it was our department. But I do several things in the industry. Acting is my primary, but I do a lot of crew jobs. So, yeah.
Do you have to be when you're doing the more local indie scene? Do you have to be more versatile on instead of just being an actress? You got to do a lot more. This-
Yeah, especially in Florida. Down in Florida, there's not a whole lot of work down here as it is. So it's better to be versatile, to be able to do many different jobs on set because then you never know when you're going to be needed. The more you know, the more valuable you are. And, I mean, you could find yourself being, a PA on a job and overhear some other crew members talking, oh man, I really need a script supervisor and this weekend and I don't know, and you're like, hey, I'm also a script supervisor. And they're like, what, really? And they already love you because they're already working with you and they can see what you do. So next thing you know, boom, there's another job, or hey, I need a coordinator. Oh, I coordinate. Okay, great. Here's another job. So it's good to be able to do lots of things.
Typically on a film set, how many hats do you have to wear,
On one single film set,
or how many have you worn on just one? What's the most you've had to do?
on a single film set, the most I've had to do, let's see, that would be on Stress to Kill. I had, let's see, one, two, three, mm, three, four, like four, I want to say, about four. Really, what I was, primarily hired to do was two. Ended up turning into like four, but it was fun. So
Is
stressful.
that? I was gonna say that sounds like it has to get stressful to handle so many different things on a film set. What do you?
Yeah, it does. It definitely does.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We were crossing, I think. So I didn't hear that last.
What's usually the most rewarding of those different tasks that you have to do? That which ones do you like doing the most?
Well, acting for sure. Acting is my primary. That's my passion, my love. Um, but from a it's really hard actually to say because I love acting for a different reason than I love crew. Like my favorite jobs on crew is probably I would say any type of like coordinator or line producing or UPM. Just because of the fact that it has to do with every single aspect of that project. So it's so easy for there to be a lack of communication. Um, so balls get dropped, or if it's like, okay, well, we're going to change this, but that'll be great for this department, but it might suck for this department. So we might not want to do that. We have to kind of weigh our pros and cons. So it's good to be on that side of things because you get to really think about literally everything and how it's all connected. And then at the end, when you see this beautiful masterpiece all put together, you're like, ah, oh, it was so worth it.
So it's not really a reward during the process. It's the reward when it's all done.
It's, I mean, there's a reward to it as well, like while you're doing it. But I know a lot of people have a hard time seeing it when they're
Hmm.
in it, because it's just work, 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 go, 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 get it done, get it done, get it done. That's very much the mentality a lot of the times. Um, with the acting process that I study, it teaches us how to be in the moment at all times, and not be thinking tomorrow or the next day, but try to just focus on the living in the here and the now. And so that's it, it's hard to do, but it can be really fun when you're sitting there and you're, on the production side. It's like, yeah, there's a part of me going, oh, I want to be in front of the camera. Ah, I want to be in front of the camera. I don't want to be behind the camera right now, but then, when I just kind of step back and I look at the other actors, I'm like, okay, let me watch them. Let me see what they're doing. It can be great. It can be great. But a lot of times it can be difficult to focus on the positive and the excitement while you're working because you're just so focused.
It's hard to see the forest for the trees, kind of.
Yep.
Gotcha. How did you get interested in acting?
Oh, Lordy.
I know
Um,
everyone's got a different story that seems to stretch way, way back.
Yeah, I was a very shy girl
Mhm.
when I was younger. I wanted nothing to do with acting in any way, shape, or form. I was going to be a teacher and I was going to be happy, and that was going to be my life. Then, when I got in eighth grade, I was forced to take a drama class because there was nothing else I could take. And I was a straight A student, and I said, no, I'm not doing it. Put me anywhere else. I'm not doing that stupid class. I will never use that skill. I want nothing to do with it. I will fail on pure principle. And I did for the first like 3 weeks. And then, in order for me to pass, I had to be in the final school production and have the most lines. So as soon as we performed it and we got that standing ovation, I was done. That was it. That was all I needed. And I walked off set and I looked at my grandparents and I said, okay, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And they're like, okay, okay. And then I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And that was when it started off with, acting in general. And then I love the theater. I have a huge respect for the theater, but film is kind of where my heart is now. So there's so much that goes into it, it's so crazy and all the things you can do and make it look, and it's like, well, I can do anything. I can take everything in my brain and just put it on the TV.
Since you were kind of standoffish on it as first, did you have any stage fright when you finally had to perform, did your attitude just kind of overtake that?
The funny thing about that is like I would say like when I was in eighth grade doing that final performance, uh, I was angry, so I didn't care. I really did not care if I did well. I didn't care if I sucked. I didn't care what people thought. So that was probably the best performance of my life. No, because now I care a little bit more. Um, but it was there a little bit, but um, my mom and my grandparents kind of always raised me to just be who I am and not really care too much or focus too much on being afraid
Mhm.
of anything. Just do what you got to do what you want to do. And I kind of had this. It's really screwed up, but uh, I'm kind of addicted to fear in a way. So when I'm afraid of something, like I make it a point to just plow through it, like just like a freaking freight train going through. So whenever I would get even the slightest bit of fear, I'd just be like, doesn't matter, I'm doing it anyway. I'm gonna do it anyway. And I'm still that way. But like I get the excited nerves, where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so amazing. I'm nervous, but I'm excited about it. That's why I'm nervous. Because I'm like, I can't wait to see everyone's, look on their faces, and that's what I get now.
So how did your acting evolve from that first experience to what you do now?
Oh, wow. Well, honestly, like the past, oh man, what year and 10 months, my acting is changed quite a bit because of the process that I study. I study the Eric Morris process, and that process is, in my opinion, the only process that works. Every I take an acting class in Tampa, and going to that class was probably the best decision I ever made, career wise and personal wise. Um, I'm better as a person because of it, because it has a lot to do with psychology and accepting where you truly came from and what you have experienced, and not ignoring anything in your past or your future or your present, and just always being present. And so I'm definitely a stronger actress now than I ever was before, and I think more about my character and what that character's life was. Whereas in before, I was like, okay, what are my lines? What do I say? It was very much all about the words. And now I could care less about the words. I care about the character. And then the words just kind of flow afterwards. They're there because you created this strong character. And that's what our teacher teaches us too.
Can you usually tell when someone's just reading their lines with emotion and someone that's actually invested in their character?
Every time.
Every time?
Every single time.
Can you give me a mainstream example?
Oh, oh man, I'm gonna probably upset some people with this.
Maybe an obscure mainstream example.
Okay, let's see. I will give, let's see, okay. Because it's so hard because I'm like, I don't want to, it's as an actress, you're always thinking of who's gonna see this and when. Like, I don't want to mess anyone up,
Hmm.
but I would say, oh, what actress? What actress? Okay, Megan Fox, I would say.
Safe choice.
Um, but there's a big however. At the
Okay.
beginning of her career, very much of words, words, words. I'm pretty. I can get away with doing whatever. I'm not saying that that's how her attitude was, but I think that might have been in the back of her mind is she is pretty and she can get away with not having the best acting skills.
Right.
But I have noticed on the last Ninja Turtles specifically, which I just saw, I want to say a couple weeks ago, she actually got better. I was very surprised. Of course, I was watching Ninja Turtles because I loved Ninja Turtles when I was a kid, not for any other reason. Oh, and a friend of mine was in that film, but I'm like, okay. But yeah, so she's grown. She's grown. Like every time in Transformers, it was just line, 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 word, 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 word. I didn't believe it for a second. But here, she's getting better.
Which is interesting because the script for Ninja Turtles 2 isn't exactly the best. The material isn't the best to get involved with, but
Right.
she's giving a better performance even though she's got less to work with,
Yes.
which really
And
speaks to how she's finally evolving as an actress.
exactly, because it's so much harder to do that when there isn't any lines.
Hmm.
But yet it can be so much more powerful
Hmm.
in the performance if you have to say nothing. Um, there's a scene that I do from like a prime example of this movie is Children of a Lesser God.
Hmm.
I mean, the girl's completely deaf. She has no lines. I mean, she has lines, but no lines. And I did a scene from that in class just for that pure, that was a big, big thing for me doing that scene is there's no lines. So can't be about the words. It has to
Hmm.
be about what I'm saying physically, emotionally, subtextually. So it did say she's getting a lot better. She didn't
Hmm.
have a whole lot of lines and a whole lot of good lines or anything like that. She just delivered better.
When you have a character that has actually no spoken dialogue, how much of that is in the body language? How much of that is in your facial expressions to get across what you're supposed to be saying?
I think it depends on. I mean, a lot of it has to do with your subtext,
Hmm.
with what you're thinking about. So it'll happen naturally. Uh, when I'm doing a performance, I don't think of, okay, now I'm going to put my hand on my hip like this and just kind of sit here like that. Okay, this would be a good time to do this. I
Hmm.
don't think about that. It's because your body just moves naturally.
Hmm.
Like I'm moving my hands right now and I don't even realize I'm doing it.
Right.
It's because of what I'm thinking about. So it's the same thing. So depending on what your character's thinking about at that moment will decide your body language and decide
Hmm.
your facial expression. It's just very much of what you're thinking about. Because think about how many times have you been like, driving down the road or something, and you're thinking about something that happened in your past, and then all of a sudden you find that you're looking really angry, and the
Hmm.
person next to you is like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" Like, "Oh no, I'm fine. I'm good." And you are in a good mood. You just happen to be thinking about something
Right.
that made your face that way. It's the same thing.
And that comes into contact with being connected to your actual material or connected to your character. So it's just going to flow naturally because you are in that mindset of that person.
Exactly.
Okay.
And everything else just falls away. I mean, you're not
Mm-hmm.
sitting there thinking I'm acting. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're thinking I am going through this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I do a performance, I'm living that experience as my character.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes afterwards it takes a toll on you because like, you know, you'll get done doing a scene or something and you'll just if your character is so different from you and like a character that you don't like, you know, which is always the fun ones to play because it upsets you so much because you're like, I hate myself right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're doing your job, you
Mm-hmm.
know, so sometimes it can take a toll and you can just sit there and you're just like, I just need a minute. Like, I'm really, really upset with myself right now, you know?
Is that basically a form of method acting, or is method acting a different thing
I,
altogether?
it's method acting it's hard to describe because method acting is a specific thing, but the Eric Morris process deals with every process, like I mean, Stanislavski, Meisner, you know, any type of method acting, Strasberg. So it deals with everything. Uta Hagen, you know, is very much of objects that come in contact with the body, you know, and so his process deals with all of them. So the process is basically taking, you know, figuring out your character by taking several different things, different aspects. I mean, I might be using a sub personality, you know, I might be using, you know, my choice approach might be specific, you know, on this character, whereas it'll be different on another one. So it's, it's a spider web of things that we learn and we, you know, with this process because he has so many books out there that breaks everything down. So it's all of them together, and each character you'll be using something different with.
When you're acting on the stage versus in front of a camera, is there a big difference in how you approach that, or is it the same? Moreover.
It's the process will still be the same, but there will be some technical
Mm-hmm.
differences that you have to adjust for. When you're on theater, you're going to have to most likely project a lot more.
Right.
But there's a balance because also when you're on set, you don't want to have to be body mic'd either. You know, you want to be able to have the flexibility to just use the boom and you know make everyone's life easy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, but you sometimes when you're on you know on the stage in theater you're going to be bigger than life because you have to project so much to reach the back of the house. Also, you get one chance.
Yeah.
There's no stop, rewind, let's do that again, you know, cut, let's shoot over, you know, you get one shot and that's
Mm-hmm.
it. Whereas with film, you mess up, it's okay, we cut,
Mm-hmm.
shoot it again, you know. But then again, you know, with film it can be really difficult too because you know, you can sit here, you know, on a stage and you can look everywhere and just look all around. But with film, sometimes you have to look like this far from the camera. You have to keep your sight line like right there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so you're not looking like you're looking off in the clouds or something, you know, and it's all, you know, trick of the camera too. I mean, you could be sitting here and everyone in the audience thinks you're talking to someone, but in reality, you're looking at a brick wall right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like I'm getting nothing from this brick wall. How am I supposed to be emotional? You know, and so that's why the process is so important. I have to be able to look at a brick wall and feel something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where your imagination comes into play.
Which of the two do you prefer to do more of, the theater or in front of the camera?
I would say probably in front of the camera, just because I find it more challenging for me now because I did theater for so long and I love theater, I do, but I can just do so much more storytelling
Mm-hmm.
with film. And I actually have a couple of features that I want to shoot, but you know, that costs, what is it? Money? Yeah. I don't know what that is. So,
Well, actually, I do have some kind of good news for you. I interviewed our editor in chief, Steve Barton, also known as Uncle Creepy, and Dread Central is opening up their own indie like spotlight thing
oh,
for indie filmmakers. So hopefully, like people like me that are starting to get into filmmaking, finally branching out of writing, I mean, it's going to be that avenue for us, so we're not strictly stuck on YouTube or Vimeo. We have
Nice.
another more massive distribution house.
Great.
So,
That's great. That
though
is
I
really great.
what I'd like to do is actually put on a play because there is a play that was converted from one of my favorite children's books called The Mouse and His Child, and it was done over in the Royal Shakespeare Company really well. But
Oh,
no one here in the States, I reached out to so many theaters, want to do it. It's not expensive. It's very simple, but it's the story is so character driven that it expands from children will like it because it's colorful and it deals with toys that are trying to become self-winding so they don't have to be at the whim of someone winding them up, but the subplots and the subtext of it are about how you grow as a person and how you overcome adversity and become your own person, become more
okay.
than what you started as. But everyone I approach to it, they're just like, no, no thanks.
Well, that's interesting because I'm actually on the theater board at the Heather Theater.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the treasurer. So we just locked in our season, but we are looking for, like, we have a theme to our season this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the exact theme that it's really called. I know that's bad, but I've been so busy. I'm just like one ear out the other. I'm like, I just gotta go. But I think it's like it's social challenges,
Mm-hmm.
about like our first one is race.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Second one is mountaintop, and then third one's disgraced. So
Mm-hmm.
it deals with a lot of stuff. Two of our actors actually wrote a play called On the Bench that talks about homelessness and um, so it deals with that and that's actually going up at the Straz. We're super excited in
Very nice.
November. So they're doing that there. And so we locked in this season, but if you want, I can take a look at that and pitch it to our theater board
Mm-hmm.
and see what they say. If not this season, the next season,
Mm-hmm.
and see if we can put it up there at the Heather. It's a small theater. It's a 501(c)(3),
Yeah.
so we are very much of charity. We love it.
Yeah. The play itself is pretty simple. It doesn't. The Royal Shakespeare Company had the budget to make it look outstanding, but
Hmm.
you can get away with very simple costumes. I started doing the costume design for it myself
Oh,
when I read through the script. I knew the story from heart from being a kid, and there was also Sanrio that makes Hello Kitty made an animated version of the film
right.
in the late '70s, and it's I've always considered it one of the best stories for young adults and probably like adults as well. Just like Watership Down. Watership Down could be for children for the most part, but
Right.
adults will understand the subtext of community and belonging and war. All the subtexts that are in Watership Down. It's very similar in A Mouse and His Child. I just wish someone would take it seriously, but I don't think people understand how to approach something that's made to look like it's for children,
Mhm.
but is supposed to be for everybody.
Okay.
Uh,
Gotcha. Well, how many characters are in it?
oh, let's see: mouse, child, Euterpe, frog, Manny Rat, elephant, muskrat. Less than 10,
Phew.
because
So
most scenes only have 3 to 4 characters at a time
okay.
at most, and it's only at the end, the last I think the last half of the third act has most of the characters on at the same time, and
Gotcha.
that's it.
Yeah,
Usually
I
it's
think.
it's mostly just dialogue based, like how is this person interacting with this creature they found, this mouse and his child that are bound together by their hands and they have to be wound up in order to function, and how does this character interact with them and what do they take away from this experience of this mouse and this child.
Gotcha. Okay. I think
So
that actually is still a pretty large cast for our space because our space is
mhm,
pretty small.
mhm,
It seats 30, you
yeah.
know, and our stage is enough to, I mean, it's like it's so small, but it's cozy. That's why it's great because it's, very, intimate atmosphere, which
Hmm.
is really great.
That's what I miss about the Gorilla Theater that used to be in Tampa. It was a pretty small venue, but still, you'd get some amazing plays through there. But they shut
Nice.
down a couple years ago just because there wasn't enough interest in small time theater.
Right.
but I think that's changing now. That was back in 2007, but I think people's culture or their need for culture has grown in Tampa.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, that was 9 years ago. 2007 was 9 years
Yeah.
ago. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I turned 30 this year, and I was like, what? On inoperable. I spent my birthday on inoperable. It was
Was your bir-
awesome.
was your birthday the day I was there? Because I remember someone bringing a cake or something.
Yes.
Oh, it was okay.
Yep. Yep, that was my birthday. I turned the big 3-0.
On the same day that they had a big barrel of cow guts delivered.
Ugh.
And that was
Ugh.
probably the most disgusting thing I've ever seen on a set.
Yeah, me too. Yep. Most disgusting thing I've ever had to deal with, ever. Um, yeah. And people ask me like, if you would have known that you would have had to do that, would you still? I'm like, yep, still would have worked on it, still would have been there, still would have did it. I probably would have came a little more prepared, with like nose plugs, puke bags, air freshener, lots more soap and cleaner and bleach, lots of gloves, maybe an entire rubber suit, maybe gas mask.
Hmm. That film, which isn't coming out till next year, was
Hmm.
filmed at an old, not abandoned, but just unused hospital. As your job as the part of the prop department, how how much did you really have to do to get that place to look creepier than it already was?
Oh, you know, the hard part wasn't getting it to look creepier. The hard part was getting it to look new again.
Yeah.
Um, the because I mean, it was so run down, and we were, with the way that Inoperable is the storyline of Inoperable. It's like we're using sets that are going to look disheveled, but then there's moments where we're filming in a new hospital, like a regular hospital, so we had to make it look like a regular, clean, place. That was the hard part, and we try to keep it condensed to one specific hallway, and of course that doesn't happen. We end up filming across the entire building. So okay, so it was a little crazy, but I think the hardest part was actually the day that I was there alone all day painting by myself. I was supposed to have some help, and I just blasted my music, and I was painting. And when Pandora says, "Are you still listening?" and it gets all quiet. Well, I walk back over to my phone, and I start hearing these voices at the end of the hallway, and I'm like, no, no, I am not painting down there. I don't need to paint down there, right? I don't need to paint down there. I call Bobby. I'm like, Bobby, are you gonna be here soon? He's like, like a couple hours. Why, are you scared? I'm like, yeah, I keep hearing voices coming from the hallway, and it's freaking me out, dude. Yeah, there's a few things that was really kind of unnerving working on that set when you're alone.
Did you ever
Yeah.
figure out where those voices came from? Were they just some
They're
transients?
ghosts. I'm fully believe that they were ghosts. I'm fully committed to that.
Well,
Especially
it
with the
was a
stories.
hospital at one point, so.
Well, the funny thing is like the building managers actually were talking about their experiences there by themselves as well. Worse stories than I have. Creepy, creepy, creepy. And in the same hallways, hearing the voices. And then they were talking about how when it was converted to a police station, they found a body part. Because like there's this one room that used to be like the old morgue or
Hmm.
whatever. And there was like a body part that obviously didn't get, shipped off wherever it needed to go or cremated or whatever that was just in the ground. And I'm like, oh, cool, body parts. Yeah. Creepy. It was creepy, which made it really awesome though. And it was also freezing cold in there.
Yeah.
Freezing.
Yep.
Yeah.
How did you get associated with Jeff Miller in that production?
Actually through Bobby Marinelli and Chris Chapman. Yep. I'm Bobby Marinelli came into my acting class, and he saw all of us perform our scenes like we do every week, because he was doing City of Mermaids, and so
Hmm.
he was looking for actors, and he also needed some crew members. So Bobby, I volunteered to work on his project. It was just a little short. It was a sizzle reel for his full feature that he wants to do. And so we went up and I worked with him up in Wiki Wachi on that. And then we just stayed in contact. And then he's like, gave me a call out of the blue and he's like, "Hey, Lynn, I've got a feature. I need a props person." I'm like, "Perfect. I'm down. Let's do it." And the times just kind of coincided where I was getting ready to depart from my day job. I had a feeling that it was going to happen soon. I just didn't know when. So I got laid off the day before we were going to start pre-production. So it worked perfect. I was like, "Yeah, that's cool. I'm good. I got a whole month of a job lined up. We're good." So and then I started working on it and got to hang out with Chris and met a ton of great people and I still talk to Chris Chapman. Actually, we're supposed to get together and have lunch. Like we've been saying that since we stopped filming. But you know how it is with schedules. I mean, you and I have been trying to get together for like a month.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, I know that I don't know why Florida legislature thought it was a good idea not to give tax breaks to filmmakers, but do you see Florida retaining a big influx of movie productions, or is it really going to head down to just being independent filmmakers at this point that are the main source of filmmaking?
The only people who are going to end up filming here are people who are connected to Florida in some way.
Mm.
Who maybe grew up here. Like if any of the big time directors or producers grew up down here and they're like, "I want to shoot in Florida because that's where I grew up," or if the storyline has something to do with Florida or a place in Florida, then okay, they might, that's a big might shoot here. I mean, hello, wasn't Ybor City built in Georgia?
Yep. Louisiana, I
Really?
think, rebuilt in all of Seventh Avenue. Yeah.
I mean, it's so frustrating. Like this is something we talk about in acting class a lot because our process is business, instrument, and craft. So we always talk about the business side. And really it comes down to our governor. I mean, I'm sure he's, done great things in different areas. Like I'm not a huge political person, but from everything that I've read when it comes to the tax incentive and everything, it's like he's always like, "Nope, nope, we don't need tax incentives. We don't need to have a film industry." It's like you guys don't, they don't stop and think what big film productions do to our state and to our economy.
Mm.
Hello, hotels, okay, food, like all these people that come down here to shoot these films, they have to stay somewhere, they have to eat, they have to rent cars, they have to
Hmm.
do all of this stuff. Canadians come down here and shoot because I have friends that are Canadian now. So I'm getting like for example, the Blue Jays in Dunedin,
Hmm.
they come down here, they shoot their promos. I work with Warren on that, and then we just shot a Coors Light promo, Canadian Coors Light promo down here. Um, yeah, I mean it's literally just going to be Canadians and independent filmmakers, and that's pretty much it. There's some industrial stuff that shoots, um, maybe some internet commercial things,
Hmm.
but that's really it. As far as anything big goes, it's it's over. It's
Yeah.
over.
I don't even think Universal Studios uses their sound stages for much anymore. Besides, I think wrestling
Yeah,
and Disney Hollywood Studios. I don't even know if anything on their lot is really active.
yeah. I don't think so either. Yeah, my teacher used to work at Universal Studios, and that was many many years ago. And she said they're all shut down now too. So it's just that everything is shut down. I mean, what? This is Bloodline's last
Mm.
season here. It's
Yep.
like, okay, is the show over or are they just moving?
Hmm.
Like Ballers is leaving. And I mean, I'm okay with Ballers leaving just because of the fact that I'm not a football player and I'm not going to be nude on camera. So I mean, I'm never going to really be auditioning for them, I'm sure, unless I'm a bartender, maybe. But it's sad, you know. I mean,
Hmm.
Ballers and Bloodline were the only two things we had, you know, and now that they're leaving, it's like we got nothing now. We're gonna
Yeah.
have nothing. I mean, Bloodline has done so much for the Keys, so much for the Keys, and now it's just gonna be over.
Yep. I went up to Georgia for the first season of Stranger Things, and that
Mhm.
production would have brought so much. A production of that type would have brought so much to Florida, because I just saw how everything was needed. Every kind of service industry would have prospered from something like that.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't think Netflix would say, "Yeah, let's go to Florida and pay the higher taxes," when Georgia is more accommodating for us.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely not. And, you know, speaking of Stranger Things, like this is like a prime example of the film industry is not like, I mean, it's like every other job. It's like any other job that anybody has. You know, I think too often people who don't understand the industry put a specific hype on it and think of it in a certain way. I
Hmm.
get the same questions every time whenever I meet new people. Oh yeah, what have I seen you in? I'm like, nothing. You've seen me in nothing. But it doesn't mean I'm not a working actor. It doesn't mean I'm not in the business. There
Right.
are thousands upon thousands of people we have no idea who they are, you know? But you take Stranger Things, for example. Do you know how many times they were denied?
I talked to the Duffers
So
about that on
much.
set.
And they
Yeah.
just kept trucking.
Yep.
And that's what it is. And then finally, Netflix is like, yeah, we'll take it. All right, let's do this. And it ends up being one of the most amazing shows ever.
Hmm.
Like, I love Stranger Things.
Yep.
Love it. And
Netflix gave them a lot of freedom. They just sat down and said, "Here's what we want. Here's what you want. Let's mesh it together. Go out and do your thing."
yep,
And they're not going to get that with any type of normal Hollywood studio
right.
that has backers and has investors. But you have Netflix just like we're just responsible to our customers. You put out a good product, they're happy.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so many amazing shows on Netflix that
Hmm.
are original. I mean, look at Orange is the New Black. I mean,
Yeah.
Orange is the New Black, Stranger Things. I know I'm missing a whole bunch, but there's like a whole bunch, and I'm just like, these are so good. I mean, there's some amazing documentaries too on Netflix. Go
Yeah.
Netflix! If anybody from
And
Netflix watches this, go Netflix.
and DreamWorks is now working with them to make new and they're making like more how to Train Your Dragon spin-offs. And now in December they're going to launch a whole new series about trolls directly
Nice.
from DreamWorks SKG. They're just saying, "Here, we'll work with you on this." Boom. We don't have to go through all that other rigmarole. And I
That's so
I have a
good.
feeling that's how Hollywood's going to evolve is people are just going to stop going to the theaters as much and just look for their original programming in the convenience of their home. Just
Yeah.
because it's much more cost effective for all parties involved,
Right.
and ultimately the customer at the end of the day is saving massive amounts of money, and they have
Right.
the convenience of being right in their home, which
Well, I will say this, like that actually kind of hurts my heart a bit. It like I agree with you. I think that's exactly what's going to end up happening, and it hurts my heart a bit because there is something to be said about going into this huge theater with when you're going to go see something epic, specifically like Lord of the Rings
mm-hmm,
or Star Wars or Harry Potter. You're going, and if you go into that what used to be midnight showing, now they've screwed that all up. Um, you go in there and you have all these fans, these diehard fans of the story, and they're watching with you, and you're all living through this experience together. Someone dies, you're all in pain, you're all crying. Something happens, you all cheer at the same time, and at the end, you all clap
mm-hmm,
and you're just all happy and overjoyed. And then you find yourself talking to total strangers after the show, just talking about what happened,
mm-hmm.
you know? And you're not going to get that at home,
No,
you
you
know?
certainly miss out on that certain magic of being there. Because
Yeah.
there are movies that I skipped in the theaters, like big movies, that when I watch them at home, I know I'm not having the same experience as I would have if I'd seen it on the big screen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just I just see theaters just kind of dying out, which makes me sad because I've been part of the entertainment industry forever, and I don't want to see it go that way. But at the same time, Hollywood has to evolve
Yeah.
to understand it's us as customers what we want, not
Yeah.
just what they want to put out, which is probably why we're seeing diminishing returns like every blockbuster season.
Right.
There's it's you can't just put out whatever you want because it's got a brand name attached to it and expect an instant return on your investment. It just doesn't happen anymore. I
Right.
think I think Sony's suffering that the most. And if Sony were to finally go down, I think that would have triggered Universal and Fox and all them to look and say, "Oh, we just can't do this anymore. We gotta make a shift."
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Ghostbusters is one of those things that really showed that you can't just throw a name on something and expect it to be successful.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. That I think it's interesting because actually I've noticed with the film industry in general, like the bigger box office productions, I should say, um, even like TV shows, it's just repeat, 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 repeat.
Hmm.
We're gonna redo every film that's ever been done, including classics that should never be redone because they're classics, And it's like, what are you doing? Oh, we're gonna do a second one 30 years after it's already been done. Like, come up with original stuff, people. Like, they are classics for a reason. Don't mess with the classics.
I I think it also may have something to do with just the culture of Hollywood now. It's we're only going to accept in things that we specifically want as far as scripts are concerned. Um, my mentor, his name is Mike Jitlove. He used to work for Disney and then started doing his own films. He would say he would bring in scripts and he would see them, put them in a pile in a closet, and then just close the door
Oh,
because
wow.
they don't care. They have this slate of what they want, and if they don't get something from someone in the Writers Guild, it doesn't matter.
Wow.
Then he has a whole scene in his movie he made called the Wizard of Speed and Time, where it shows the process of how you get into the guilds. And he's going from guild to guild saying, well, you can't be in the guild unless you're already a member. It's like, well, how do I become a member? When you're in the guild. Well, how do I make this process work if I just want to
Yep.
make films? It's impossible. It's like
Yep.
I want to be an animator. Well, you have to be part of the art guild. Well, okay. Well, all I'm doing is animating some lights. Well, then you have to be in the lighting guild. Like,
It's
what
like,
the hell?
I mean, it's the same thing, with, with SAG, becoming SAG, it's like, okay, well, how do I get SAG? Well, you have to work on a SAG film. Well, how do I get on a SAG film? Wait, you kind of have to be a SAG actor. Wait, what? Like, how does this work?
You
You
can't join
know?
unless you're already a member.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know how do I do this? And that was one of the hardest things for me to figure out. And it wasn't until I started in my class when I finally was like, okay, like right now I am actually SAG eligible. So I'm like, okay, all I have to do is pay $1,900
Yeah.
and I'll have my SAG card. Where am I gonna get $1,900?
I think is that every year that they require that fee?
No, the 1900 is just the startup, but that's Florida's cost. If we were in
Ah,
California, it would be 3,000, and it would be 30 days from the moment you're eligible. You have 30 days to sign up, otherwise you can't, and you'll have to redo it again and go and try to get eligible again. Whereas in Florida, you can just be eligible for all of eternity, which
mm-hmm.
is convenient for those of us who don't have money.
Right. But is that
But
is that SAG card good for if you were to go work in LA or in Hollywood? Is it still good or is it state by state?
yeah, yeah, no, it's good to work anywhere. But if you ever move, like say I moved to California, I would have to pay the difference. I'd have to pay that, $1,100 because I moved. And I'm like,
That's
oh, I'll just stay in Florida for the rest of my life. No. But then I think it's like, what is it, like $200 or $200 or $300, something like that a year. And then also 1.575% of whatever you make, I think is what it is. Yeah, on SAG films. But 1.575, that's not too bad because the benefits of SAG are amazing. So it's worth it.
what are the benefits of being in the guild?
Oh man, not only do we get a vote on the SAG Awards, which is awesome, and we get all the DVDs sent to us, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome, but their insurance is incredible, really, really incredible. And as a SAG actor, you have you have to get paid a certain amount for
Mm-hmm.
certain jobs. you can only work so many hours, and then they have to pay overtime. You are covered if anything happens by SAG. They have your back, you know, and it's nice. Whereas when you're non-union, it's like, okay, I'll even work for free. I just need some footage. You know, I mean, you're like, I'm like, hi, I don't, nobody knows me, but you know, I mean, being non-union is basically just you have the right to get screwed.
That's what I've heard, especially in Mike Jitlov's movie. Anything non-union is just cursed.
Yeah,
You're not allowed to even take like a film can from one set back to your studio. You can't do that. They're bolted to the system.
yeah, yeah. You know, it's so they okay. Speaking about the film industry and specifically Florida, not only here's the big problem. Not only do we not have a tax incentive, but it's even worse than that. Let's just say for giggles that we had a tax incentive.
Hmm.
I still don't believe that a lot of films will come here. And if they do, like if they do come here, they're going to bring all of their crew and they're going to bring all of their actors from outside of the state. Reason being, we live in Florida, where the majority of filmmakers in the state of Florida are morons. I mean, they are. And when I say it's primarily actors, actors aren't studying. You know, I can't tell you how many actors I've met who do not study. They think that, oh, I can go to this workshop for a weekend, pay $500 for someone to talk to me for a weekend, and all of a sudden I'm an actor.
Hmm.
And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Doctors have to study all year long and get recertified every year. Actors, same thing.
Hmm.
So does every other job. You have constant training
Hmm.
to keep on your craft. And you know, I also work on the casting side with my teacher, with Catherine Laughlin at Independent Castings, and you get some people in there who they walk in and they don't have a headshot. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Do you know where you are? Do you know your name? Some of them don't. Like, okay, just slate your name for us. Okay, click record. Okay, go ahead. Wait, what was I supposed to say? Your name. Your name. You're supposed to say your name. You know, so we get that a lot in
Hmm.
Florida. And it's hard to find the people that know what they're doing, you
Hmm.
know. That's the hard part. But once you do, great things happen. You could be working all the time. Once you find those people, you know, and that's what I've been doing for the past like 3, 4 years is finding those who know what they're doing.
Hmm.
You know, I finally have like a good amount of people that I know now that actually study and to do different jobs in the state. And it's like, okay, and they all agree. They all say the same thing. Wow, there's so many stupid people in this industry in Florida.
How many of the actors have the talent they just don't study? Are there any really naturally talented actors that you've run into that just do it on a whim, like they're just magically good?
Yeah, there's actually I would say out of the past 8 years, I've met three who can act but don't study, but most likely it was because of the fact they just didn't know,
Hmm.
or due to financial things, or they had plans to study but they didn't know where, you know, but they were just not, you could see them naturally hit in certain areas,
Hmm.
and it's like, oh man, if you studied, oh, you could be so good, you know? So usually when I see that, which obviously is rare, because I
Hmm.
found a lot where I'm just like, nope, 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 not gonna ever happen. No, you know. But the ones who, yeah, I see that. I approach them and I say, hey, where are you studying? Hey, here, let me get you connected with, you know, with some people. Let me, you
Hmm.
know, here's some books you can read that will help, you know, if you don't have the money or the time to go take a class. Look at this, you know, see if this is something that fits for you. The process that I study is not an easy process by any means. It
Hmm.
is very difficult, very challenging, uh, challenging on your psyche, you know, process too, because you have to really fully accept and you lose a lot of relationships in your life, a lot of friends, because you become stronger.
Hmm.
My teacher has the saying of two C's make an O. That's what everyone seeks. And then once one person C starts to go like this, the other one comes and tries to open it back up. But
Hmm.
the trick is to just be an O by yourself. And so that's what she says, and it's true. So but yeah, I always try to let them, when I see them, I'm like, hey, come study here.
Hmm.
Check this process out. Do something. Think about this. Think about that.
One of the reasons why from my very short acting stint, and why I didn't really want to go back is I was always afraid of typecasting because the way I look, it's very imposing. It's hard to make someone like me not look imposing. So when people would approach me to do something, they'd always say, "Well, you're going to play the heavy, or you're going to be basically bodyguard, heavy, thug." And so I was just kind of like, I really can't change who I am, and this is the way I'm always going to look. So I don't. I guess I'm just going to shy away from it. When people encounter something like that, what is your advice to them to kind of knock through that barrier of being typecast?
It's Well, the first question I would ask them is this really what you want to do for the rest of your life?
Mm-hmm.
That's always the first question. Um, just because of the fact that you have to take the good with the bad,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to take a lot more bad before you're going to take good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll have 30 bad days, but you'll have one good day. But I'll guarantee you that that one good day will outweigh those 30 bad, you know? But it takes passion and love for this to be able to do it. So when people talk about typecasting, you have to know how you're going to book.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know. My teacher always says, "Get a mirror and put it in your house." And it's like, look at yourself. Know, accept how you actually are. Like take me for example. I am not a stick figure. Okay. I have curves. I'm definitely not fat, but I'm not a stick figure either. I'm voluptuous. I have a different type of face because it's not the perfectly symmetrical blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a gummy smile. I have character. A different type of character than what you normally see. Um, so I'm never going to book that lead female unless the lead female is a certain energy that I can project extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely well. Then it could be, but it'll be a character role, one that doesn't come around very often.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's like I might be like the best friend, the neighbor, the quirky aunt, the quirky sister, quirky. Uh, you know, um, yeah, it's you have to be able to change yourself and adapt. I mean, me personally, like I believe in being versatile, of
Mm-hmm.
course. So, when it comes to, my headshots specifically, like get really good headshots that show different energies, very, very different ones. Like I have, my main shot, my theatrical shot is, I've I'm pretty, got my makeup on, got my hair done, but I'm intense. I'm kind of like that's that strong character female that's there. So it's like that intense look. But then I have like my motherly, my neighbor, mom type look where I'm just like, hi everybody, I'm happy, but I'm sweet. There's that energy too. And then I have like the nerdy look. I have as I call it, the Walking Dead look. The one where it's like, I just got out of prison and I'm going to cut you. It's like, so I have like all these energies that I know I can project well in my acting. And those are the energies I want in my headshots. So when I see those roles come up, that's the headshot I'm going to use because that's what they're looking for. Or as close as they can come to it anyway.
What should people look for when they go to get their headshots? Or is there a certain type of photographer, or how
Yeah,
they judge
there's
that?
modeling photographers are different than headshot photographers.
Okay.
Um, some can do both, but most focus on primarily one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I actually I go to Taylor Gerard for my headshots because I hate my photo. I hate my picture taken. I hate it. I hate it. It's so uncomfortable. That makes me uncomfortable. That makes me nervous. I'd rather get up in front of 1,000 people on stage than get my photo taken. It's horrible.
That's why you were nowhere around when I was taking pictures on set of Inoperable.
Exactly. Every time I saw a camera, I took off on purpose. That's why, like, on my Facebook page, like, you will never see me posting photos. Well,
Mhm.
for a couple of different reasons. One, I hate my picture taken, because I never look the way I want ever. I always like, something stupid. Um, and then also just because you never want to post anything on social media, so it's just like I never post anything. So anything that I do have, people have tagged me in.
Mhm.
Like I see Chris post a couple pictures, like I didn't even know that picture existed, and I'm like, that's one of those photos where I'm just like, ah, yeah. And I was like, all right, I'll approve it, Chris, just because you're promoting an operable. Okay. But yeah, so with headshot photographer specifically, like there's a few things you need to look for. I mean, you need to look and see, what the lighting is in the shots. You need to make sure that it's not, glam shots. Okay, a lot of actors think, especially women, think, okay, so I'm gonna have a professional makeup artist come in and she's gonna do my makeup and my hair and I'm gonna look so perfect. I'm gonna look like Angelina Jolie and I'm gonna just get my picture taken. That's what every headshot is for them. And it's like, when you do an audition, are you gonna have a hair and makeup artist there for when you're doing your audition? No. Are you gonna book an Angelina Jolie role? No. So why are you having your headshots like that? No, show us your energies, how you're gonna book. Do your own damn hair and makeup because that's what you're gonna be doing when you go to an audition. You know, find a photographer who can get you who can pull out of you those energies that you want, that you can communicate, say, this is what I want out of this session. And if I'm not showing that, help me get there.
Mhm.
And Taylor Gerard every time, because he also studies the same process I do, because he's also an actor. That is very helpful when you're working with a photographer who's also an actor. So yeah, Taylor Gerard is an incredible, incredible photographer. Um, I've done 2 sessions with him. I'm actually hoping I can do another one next year with different energies than what I have now. And he's fun too. Like he'll just sit there and just start talking to you, like blah 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 blah, and just start snapping as you're talking, and then you look at him, you're like, how did you get that? And he's like, you know. And if he's not getting what he wants, then I'll just have. He's like, so, Lynn, how was, did you see this thing on the news the other day about blah blah blah? I'm like, no. What the hell? And then he just starts snapping, and then I'm like, oh, there it is. That's what I wanted. And he was like, yeah.
And I know some people that take their headshots and they just randomly send them out to different directors, different writers. Is that really the way to do it, or I don't, I don't get. That seems like a lot of effort and doesn't seem like a whole lot of return on your investment there if you're just sending your headshots out to people.
No, that's annoying. It really is. It's extremely annoying to the professionals in the business.
Hmm.
A lot of the independent filmmakers might not care so much, because they're like, oh yeah, that person looks cool. I remember they sent me their stuff. A lot of the independent, they don't care too much. I mean, they're okay with it. But the more professional that you are in the business, the more likely you're going to shoot yourself in the foot if you do that.
Hmm.
Um, one of the best things about like my acting classes, we bring in casting directors
Hmm.
and directors and writers and other people in the film industry, even big ones too. I mean, Kathy knows a lot of people, so she'll bring them in, and we'll have a showcase, and it ends up usually being like maybe like $100 for each of us to fly them in, put them up in a hotel, and we do our scenes. And I can't tell you how much work we get from that because we just say, hey, we want to pay for you to come down here and see talent, because you need talent. Casting directors that we bring in, they beg us to come back. Like We have same with the agents that we bring in. They're like, yeah, when can we come back? We need more talent. You know, it happens a lot. And that's what we do every year. We actually have a showcase coming up in December. You know, we have another one in January. We have another one in February and March. I think it's crazy busy. But that's how we get work, and it's great because then we just turn around and say, hey, like I'll turn to my agent and I'll be like, hey, I just had a showcase with this casting director, so I'm fresh on their brain. Anything they have, submit me hard for. And they're like, okay. You know, and sometimes they'll talk to you afterwards. So that's the way to go about it, not just sending it blanket, like random. Ugh, what kind of work are you trying to get, man? Are you trying to be in porn? Like,
I think it's people that just don't know the Hollywood system. They've
they
had
don't.
someone tell them, "Oh, you're a pretty good actor on like something non-significant," and then they just start blasting it out there because they think that's the way to do it. I think a lot of people are uninformed about how you're
Lot.
supposed to approach the industry.
Yeah, a lot are because you know I was before you know I ended up having to learn everything like piece by piece by piece by piece over 15 years, and
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, I wish I could have like taken a shortcut, because I'd be so much further now. But it's hard because like a lot of the people who are in you know who don't have the information, I bet you about 60% of them, no, I'm gonna say more like 75% of them, once they did have the info about what it takes to be in the industry, they drop out. They're like, nope, this is not for me. You know,
It's
and
like,
I mean it happens
yeah,
even in my acting class. We just wait when we have new people. All of us older students were like, okay, so how long do you think this one? Like maybe a month. You know? We take really, no, because it's not for everyone. People think that they think that the industry is going to be a certain way, and then when they get in it and they realize it's not,
hmm
they're like, nope.
I don't know where they get that idea that Hollywood or the film industry is easy or it's glamorous. It's not. It's not really glamorous, and I see that
No.
on the writing side of it. I have to deal with the behind the scenes back end of it, so I hear all the just horrible things. Some very good things, mind you, but a lot of politics and a lot of drama, and just you wonder how some of these films get made when there's just so much going on
Yeah,
that it
yeah,
sounds like it would just tank a business, let alone a movie set.
yeah.
So
I
I think
know.
if people knew, or if they just watch a documentary, any behind the scenes video for any major motion picture, they'll see. As long as it's not like a cheerleading piece where they're like, we're so excited for this movie that 5 people quit on and we went through 3 directors and 17 producers. But like an actual movie, like even the original Star Wars, I had a VHS tape of the making of Star Wars, and you could tell by the interviews with like Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher that it was not easy. They weren't even sure. It was stressful. They didn't
Yeah,
even believe in it. But
yeah.
but then you see what that became.
Yeah. You
It's
know, and that's the thing is that it's not a glamorous job.
hmm
I mean, the film industry, it's brutal as hell. It's one of the hardest industries in the world to work in and to
hmm
get into. You know, I mean, look at Inoperable. Hello, what is glamorous about cow guts and livers and stomachs? That big stomach. Oh, the gator got it. Gator got it good. Um, you know what, there's nothing glamorous about that. You know, I mean, I mean, even on the bigger features, I mean, you look at Lord of the Rings, um friggin' Viggo Mortensen broke his toe in the
hmm
middle of a shot. He continued the shot, and then that ended up being the shot that was actually in the film. He just kept going, and then he had like several days of running after
hmm
that, you know, for but you keep going. You know, Orlando Bloom, was it Orlando Bloom or was it uh Dominic Monaghan? One of them ended up bruising ribs or broke ribs. I think Orlando Bloom broke ribs, and then just everybody was getting hurt because of all the stunts and all the stuff he had to do. But they just kept going, and they're
hmm
all running, and they're all in massive pain. They're like, "We got to do this because that's the love, that's the passion, that's the dedication, and that's what this industry takes." But it's not glamorous in any
No,
way.
and you can definitely see when they put that much effort to it how that final outcome is amazing. Lord
Yeah,
of the Rings could have been really bad,
yeah,
and even though I was a fan of Peter Jackson's work beforehand, Meet the Feebles and Brain Dead and all that, I was still kind of like, Are you sure you want to do this? Because that is a big undertaking for a guy that makes genre films. But
Yeah,
then his personal touches I think that's what made it more endearing to the public.
right.
Hardcore Tolkien fans, maybe not as much, but the general public, it got them interested in fantasy and brought fantasy to the Oscars, finally.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if he hadn't done this, we'd still not have a fantasy picture that has an Academy Award.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
I'm still waiting for a horror film to get that, like an
Oh,
actual genre
yeah.
film. But I don't
Well,
think that'll ever really happen.
probably not. I think like, horror is it's it's not for. I mean, well, it's difficult because like I don't like I used to love horror
Hmm.
and I prefer working on horror as opposed to watching horror because it's I don't get scared anymore.
Hmm.
You know, I'm just like, oh, he's gonna come from the left. Oh, the camera slowed down. But it's also, I think also it has to do with the fact that I know how stuff is done.
Hmm.
And so it's like, I know like the setup, you know? So it's like when the camera slows and it's like when she's like slightly off the side, it's like, okay, obviously she's not in center frame for a reason
Hmm.
because something's coming up behind her. Like, come on, people. Don't you see it? And then everyone's like, oh my gosh. And I'm just sitting there like, ah.
Yeah, when Platinum Dunes was in the middle of remaking The Hitcher and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they committed those sins all the time. You could always tell, like, she's on 1/3 of the screen, and we're seeing a window for 2/3 of the shot.
Yeah,
We know something's gonna happen. Where's the suspense?
yeah,
And I think it was that mid 2000s thing kind of killed the horror genre a second time. The late 80s or early 90s really did it, but then we were just kind of like, now we can just throw stuff on the screen. We can make bad adaptations of Japanese movies and people will eat it up. And they did money wise, but creative wise, it was just getting all of us just kind of burnt out. And that's why I left the genre for a bit because I was so tired of it. It was the same thing over and over and over again.
yeah,
And then it finally started coming back around when indie filmmakers started becoming the big thing, and I think that's where we're going to see that resurgence of horror being original again, is with indie filmmakers because they're willing to take the risks. They're not
yeah,
gonna they're not just going to do a paint by numbers slasher film,
right.
which I was hoping Blair Witch would kind of kick that off again, but unfortunately no one wanted to go see it, even though it was a better found footage movie than most anything within the past couple years.
Yeah. I can never watch those, the found footage ones. Like it makes me nauseous. Like
Oh, just
it's
the
anything like
shaky
with playing
cam.
Halo or something. I can't do it. I'm just like, oh, 5 minutes in, I'm like, I can't. Oh gosh, I don't feel good. So I can't. I feel bad because it's like I want to be able to watch them, but I can't do it. Like I can't make it through it. It doesn't matter if I'm like this far away or if I'm like close or if I'm like drinking water. It's like I'm just like, oh, motion sickness, lots of motion sickness.
Well, what could the horror genre do to win you back as a fan? Where would you like to see it go to be more immersive? I guess
Okay, more realistic.
more realistic, more immersive. I mean, I
Like
can if
when I
something's
say
surreal, I can get into it, but
like like it's funny. It's funny because I say realistic and I have to remember that not everybody believes in the same things that I do.
hmm.
So like okay, Fourth Kind scared the shit out of me.
Hmm.
Really bad. Sorry, I probably can't cuss. Is it okay if
No,
I
that's
cuss?
fine.
Okay, great,
Well,
because I've been really
I work on
watching.
a horror site. I don't think we're gonna care.
Oh, good point. Good point. I just think I never know. Like I always, my mom always says, when you're talking to someone, just try not to cuss. So I try not to cuss, but I actually cuss like a fucking sailor. Okay. Um. So yeah, Fourth Kind scared me. So anything that has to do with like abduction, aliens, but like on a realistic level,
Hmm.
like I want to see it to the point where when you're done watching that film, you're like, that could really serious that could be happening right now, like right now, right
Hmm.
now. War of the
Like
Worlds.
Fire
No.
in the Sky, that kind of
Yeah, it's like
something.
it's
Yeah.
terrifying,
Hmm.
terrifying. Um, so that paranormal does scare me, but in a horror, it's more like Paranormal Activity, the first one,
Hmm.
the first one. that terrified me because my bedroom was set up the same exact way the house was, and everything, like with the bathroom and the place and the bed where it was with the door. Like I had a boyfriend at the time, and I literally would sleep in the center of the bed. Like after we watched that, he would sleep on his side, but my arm would be like half of his body would be on top of mine. My arms were linked around him because I'm like, okay, if I get yanked off the bed, he'll be aware because I'm gripping onto him. It's stupid things like that. That scared me.
Mm-hmm.
Room 1308, that scared me. Which on
Really?
Cusack, that scared me. But those are really the only three off the top of my head that I can say scared me, except for this one when I was a kid, but I have no idea what movie it was. And I've been trying to figure it out for years.
Okay, what I can probably tell you if you tell me what it was about.
God, I hope so, because it's driving me crazy. Like, okay, I don't remember a whole lot about it. I remember because I was peeking around the couch at my babysitter's because I was supposed to be in bed sleeping. God, I was so little. There was like this dark street, and there was like the main character. I think it was like a female. I think it was like teenagers maybe, and they go up into this party. There's this party in this big brick building, and it's like a whole bunch of neons and like some smoke. Like it was a party.
Mm-hmm.
And they're hanging out, just being teenagers, I guess. And then I think there was like a whole bunch of vampires that were in this party, and the main characters like made it out of the building and started like running down the street. But that's all I remember. That's literally all I remember, but I remember being utterly terrified.
Part of it kind of sounds like Fright Night, but there was only one vampire. Um, it sounds familiar, but I can't. Oh, it oh, I almost want to say Return to Salem's Lot, but I know that's not right. But I know this. I know the setting. I probably can find out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I'm just like, oh man, what was that? What was that? And then E.T. scared me when I was a kid.
Really?
But I loved it. Mac and Me scared me too, but I loved
For
it.
no, for a different reason, or because it was scary, or because it was bad.
It was scary. Like it just scared me. I was just scared, but I loved watching it because it scared me. And I think maybe that's where my love for fear like came in because I love like that feeling of fear. Like I'm addicted to it. Like if
Mm-hmm.
like I have to like feel that fear. And so it's like when I'm watching scary movies, I'm just like, man, someone scare me already, please.
Can you satiate that fear by going to like something like Halloween Horror Nights or Hollow Scream, or does that just
I
not do it?
I try it, but I laugh the entire time. I just laugh and I get excited,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, okay, we're in this big old maze thing. Okay, cool. We're in this haunted house. Okay, what's gonna happen? I'm like, let's see. I'm gonna walk around this corner and I instantly see like how the set is set up, and I'm like, I already know where they're gonna come from
Mm-hmm.
every time, and it's like they don't normally get me. But there's a few that will, and I'm like, oh yes, thank you, and like I'm laughing and I'm like, thanks, man, and they're like, what? I mean, they get confused. But actually, on my to-do list this year is to go to the ship in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
You know about that one?
Yep.
Yeah. My friend Lance used to work on it, but he's not working on it anymore. Um, uh, I'm so upset that I missed him on it. I told him I was like, I'm gonna wait till the end of the month, and he's like, I'm not on it anymore. And I went, no. But yeah, I want to go see that ship with my friend Lisa Cart. So I'm excited. She's a huge horror fan. She's also been in a lot of B movies too. I haven't seen any of them yet, and I told her like I want to see them. Like she always goes to like the conventions and stuff, and like I guess all the B horror fan people know her, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what have you done? I want to see this. She's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. I'm like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah.
I mean, should actors ever be really embarrassed of the movies they're in, or should they own
Yes.
them? They should be embarrassed.
Yes. Yep, they should. Um, now, it's a yes and no kind of a thing. I'm a firm believer in just, hey, you have fun,
Hmm.
but don't paint it as something that it's not.
Like, don't say it's a cult classic when it's really
A
not,
piece of
kind
crap.
of thing.
When it's like a cult piece of shit.
Yeah, that's true. I
Yeah.
really think George Clooney should own up to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes too, or Return of the Killer Tomatoes. That's what it was. Yeah, I mean, just own it. You were in it. It is technically a cult classic. It did spawn a franchise.
It's
I,
awesome.
I saw when I was doing reviews for Dread Central years ago. I think there was a Brad Pitt slasher movie I saw when he was really young.
Oh
When
wow.
he was probably like just out of his teens, and I understand why he doesn't talk about it. But I mean, it was amazing because like when Benjamin Button came out, like those last couple scenes when they're showing him like in the shadows but really young, it
Yeah.
looked exactly like him. I mean, it was just like, wow, you got the Zach Morris haircut and everything. You got it all down.
Yeah. Yeah, you did great. I like that movie.
Yeah.
That's good.
Um, I think that's really all. I do have one more question, just for people that are just now getting out of high school. They've been in their drama classes like you were.
Yeah.
What is your suggestion to them if they want to start breaking into the industry? Fresh out of high school or fresh out of college.
For acting or for crew?
Uh, it would probably be. I would say acting, because crew I think is a little bit easier to move into if you have more of a technical background. Or
Just start with the
yeah,
PA. Start as a PA and work yourself up.
yeah.
Acting wise, study every process, every single process, every acting process. Look it up, read the books, figure out which one works best for you, and then find a class nearby that teaches it. And study always, always, always study. But my biggest thing is like you need to have that process that
Hmm.
you're going to study for a while, and it's always best to have an understanding of all the processes. So I mean, same thing with religion. I mean, mm, wait, I can't really say that because most people do just go, I was born and raised a Christian and that's what I'm gonna stay. Like they don't actually branch out and look into other religions and see what
Hmm.
they're about, you
Hmm.
know. So I can't really say that, but the concept is supposed to be the same.
I can understand because I converted to Buddhism 16 years ago, so I know
Exactly.
what it's like. Yeah.
So I'd say find the process, study all of them, figure out which one works best for you, find a class because then you'll have that family. You want to surround yourself with like-minded individuals, people who are going after the same thing, people who are studying the same process as you. Um, Understand from an acting perspective, from just understand that you can have friends that are actors. My best friends are actors. And when I see an audition, I let all of my friends know, all of my acting friends, even the ones that fit, I let them know, because we have that community, that family bond, that's
Hmm.
very much of I want them to succeed and they want me to succeed. That's how we all work together. But not every class is like that. But everything that any one of us sees, we post on our Facebook private group page for our class. So it's like, hey, we got FSU auditions. This prime example, FSU auditions were
Hmm.
just this past month, or well, I went last Sunday on the 16th, and then there was one on the 8th. So that got posted on our group page. And we have a ton of new people in our class who need footage, who also need to, get their SAG card and be SAG eligible and stuff. And FSU does great SAG new media projects with their students. So it's an open audition. So we post on the site, and then we had one of us, Dewan, decided to say, hey, okay, everybody, if you're planning on going to the auditions, let me know, and let me know if you're going to drive. And then he ended up pairing us all up. So there was like we had so many carfuls of people and we all went, and we did it and we came back. And I mean, I did it last year too. And, it's a great way because we all help together. We work together, we move forward together, and it's not always going to be rainbows and kittens and shit. Okay. It's going to be more shit than anything. You
And
know,
if you want it easy, just go get a 9 to 5 job.
yes, yes,
If
and don't. Okay, uh, being an extra is not being an actor. You are furniture. You're less than furniture.
unless you
Okay,
have a line, you're really nothing than
you're
just
nothing.
background noise, really.
No, you're furniture. Like, okay, that I hate that this is the way it is on set, but on sets, when it comes to like food time, like lunchtime or whatever, it's like talent goes first,
Hmm.
then the crew, and then the extras. Okay,
And
so
then
it's like
media way after that.
right.
I waited till you were all done, and I was finally like, I think I'll see what's left.
I mean that's what happens. And so don't, yeah, actors just study, learn the business, run your own business. You are your business. Don't let someone tell you what's going on, and get SAG as soon as you possibly can.
Hmm.
Um, that is if you want to be a professional. I mean, there's some people who just want to do extra work. That's the case. Go to California. Go to California. You can be extra all day long.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. In Florida, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go and do this extra work. I get paid $100. I'm excited. It's like, you can't use that on your resume. The pay is not all that great. You're not going to get any credit for it. Why are you doing it?
Hmm.
You get nothing out of it. I have to either get footage, or really great pay, or um, amazing credit, like a badass IMDb credit. Like I have to get. Usually, I prefer to have two out of the three. Instead of just the one. But I usually settle for just one. Because you always need one or the other.
Hmm.
So just be smart.
Hmm.
Be smart with your business.
Yeah, and your IMDb credits, they could be really good or they could be really bad. Mine, my first IMDb credit was special thanks on an independent film called Cockhammer. It's
No,
it's a it's a good independent film made by my friend Kevin
I'm
Strange.
making it up right now.
It's all one word. I think it's all one word.
Cockhammer?
Yeah, Cockhammer. It's part of a film series that he did before he stopped doing filmmaking and started doing writing. But for the longest time, that was it. And then when I was on Fix This Yard with A&E, I'm on there as homeowner. I think I'm also on there for Nixon and Hogan's Smoke Christmas. I think I'm another special thanks on that too. So
Oh
I've
my
got
goodness.
you can have you be glad when you're on, even if it's a bad movie. It's not special thanks on Cockhammer.
Oh my gosh, Cockhammer.
Because I could never put that
Cockhammer.
on like my LinkedIn page. Because it would just people would look at that and be like, nope, we're not hiring this guy.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. It's funny. Oh, my battery's running low. Sorry. Eh.
No
Um,
problem.
yeah, my IMDb credits, like I have more crew credits than I do acting credits, and I was like, damn it. Okay, I just need more acting. More acting.
I wish they would change the setup back to the way it used to be when it would list all your credits all at the same time. But now they have it sectioned off where everything's like closed down. So if you don't have a lot of acting credits, those aren't the first things that show up. And
Right.
if you have like 40 crew credits, they're all compressed and you won't see them. And most people will just not look. They won't
Yeah.
scroll down far enough. And I think that's kind of a hindrance
Yeah.
for all of us that are trying to take this seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as for our local, the people that are watching this local to the Tampa Bay area, what are some of the places, like the sites and the schools that you would like to tell them about?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you asked this question.
We'll
And
wait till you get it all plugged in. That way it doesn't
yeah,
get
because
cut
I'm
off.
gonna lose you. I'm gonna lose you. Okay. What was the question?
The local Tampa Bay schools, agents, stuff like that. Stuff you'd like local people to know about, so they can go check it out if they're interested in becoming part of what we do.
Okay. I would say as far as class goes, there's only one class that I can actually recommend, and that's the Performer Studio Workshop. But that's because it's the only class that actually teaches the Eric Morris process. The Performer Studio Workshop, you can go to www.theperformerstudioworkshop.com, and you can see, the information there. The majority of our students are all over film and television, currently and previously. We're talking big shows, like they're among us. They're walking around, and we've seen them on big shows like The Walking Dead. Like it's the process works. Our teacher is an amazing woman. She has lots of great connections, with casting directors, and she brings them in. I mean, she doesn't charge us, an arm and a leg. Classes Monday through Thursday from 7 till whenever, and it's $150 a month. Instead of going, I'm going to spend $500 for a 2-day weekend seminar. That's not going to do a damn thing for me.
Or someone tries to sell you a book at the end of it rather than...
Oh my gosh, I hate that. Oh, buy my book. Really? Be more of a poser.
Where are the classes located in Tampa or in Tampa Bay?
That one is on Hillsborough. And it's like near Sheldon. It's like near Town and Country. It's like near Sheldon and Webb.
Okay.
In between there on Hillsborough. There's like a Popeyes there, and it's like behind the Popeyes. Because that building is not only Performance Studio Workshop, it's also independent castings, and it's also the Heather Theater. So naturally, when she has castings, she lets her students know. She knows all of our agents. She knows who we're with, so she reaches out directly and requests us. Or she'll be like, hey, okay, here, we got this coming in. She's got a lot of stuff going on. As far as agents go, there's only 2 agents I can recommend in Florida. That's it. And that would be Luis's People and Tracy at Brevard.
Okay.
They're the only 2. And that's because of their history from not only from an acting perspective, but also from a crew perspective. I've been coordinator. I've had to fix some stuff. Agents drive me nuts. I've been working with Kathy in the casting. Bad stuff from a lot of agents that don't know what they're doing. It's sad, but true. Those are the only 2 that I can actually recommend. And if anyone else gets pissed off at me for saying that, well, fuck you. That's you made your bed. You got to lie in it. If I haven't worked with you personally, then obviously I'm not talking about you. Mm-hmm. I can't recommend you because I don't know you. But those are the 2 that I can recommend in Florida specifically. As far as other agents, there's it's hard because those are the only ones that I can. My primary agent is Landry Martz, which is based out of Louisiana. They are she's like my mother agent who covers pretty much everything. Mm-hmm. But you can't just reach out to her and get her. That's a result of a showcase, mm-hmm. As most of the good agents are. Those are the only 2 that I know that you could just probably call up and be like, hey, I would like to be represented by you. Can I send you my reel and my resume and meet with you and discuss possibly having you represent me, blah, blah, blah. You don't work for them. They don't work for you. You work together. That's a mindset that people don't have a lot. So, but yeah, Luis's People, Tracy at Brevard, and Performer Studio Workshop. That's my life, and it's awesome.
Do you have any final wisdom for our viewers?
Don't do it.
You just negated the entire interview by just flat out saying it.
I'm just kidding. Put in the work. Put in the work. And it's always going to be more work, always, than what it should be. But that's the way that it is. So if you love this industry and if you love it, you have to love the bad. You can't just put up with the bad. You have to love the bad as well. Otherwise, you'll never make it. So if there's any part of you that doesn't want to do this, or any part of you that says, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to do this, then don't do it. Don't do it. Because people ask me, well, what's your plan B? My response every single time is, what are you talking about? There is no plan B. This is my life. This is my plan A. There is only plan A. This is my life. And yeah, so if people ask you what's your plan B, and if you have an answer, go do plan B. Go do plan B, because you'll never last.
Yeah.
Be professional. Do research. Read, for God's sakes, read. Read books. Read the newspaper. Read books.
Specifically, what kind of books? Because I had a lot of filmmaking books, and they did me no good.
Well, specifically like the Eric Morris books, is what I read that helps, from an acting perspective. I also have a wonderful book that's called How to Be a Working Actor, and that did help a little bit. It's a little dated though. It's a little dated, but read books to expand your mind. I read, science fiction and vampire books, any angels and demon books, any Tolkien books, Harry Potter, and that's my guilty pleasure, but it expands my imagination. The more knowledge you have about life and the world and everything as an actor, the better actor you're going to be. Because if you get on set and you have to play a politician and you know nothing about politics, you're fucked. You are so fucked. You're fucked up the ass, dude. You're just gonna stand there and look like a fucking dumb fuck. So it's like, do some fucking research. If you have to go, I can't tell you how many times people have come into an audition and it's like, so you know what we're doing today, right? Oh no, I don't know. Well, your agent gave you the breakdown, right? So you know that this is a commercial for this product. Oh no, they didn't give that to me. Okay, so you just came here? Yeah. You do you know what you're getting paid? No. Like, what the fuck? Like, know this shit. Don't do work where it's a full buyout for $1,000. No. In perpetuity? No. You're fucking yourself in the ass. Let's say you do a non-union commercial for a blue shoe commercial, okay? They pay you $5,000 for unlimited usage for the rest of your life. You got $5,000. Ooh, that's a lot of money. Look. SAG commercial comes, and it's a red shoe commercial, and it's SAG, residuals, and you book it. You can't do it. Why? Because you got bought out by a blue shoe commercial for non-union bullshit where you got paid $5,000. Whereas with the SAG, if you hadn't have done that, you could have made so much money, So just be smart. Be smart. Think with your head, not with your bills. Yeah, $5,000 is great, but think about long term. Have a long term plan.
I think that pretty much wraps up. Have a long term plan when it comes to getting into the business.
Yep, have a long term plan and study. Get involved, meet people, network. It's all about. Okay, I have to end with this thing that my teacher says all the time because it's quite funny, and I think you'll get a kick out of it because you'll never forget it. She says, there's also this part of the process, that there's 5 things, okay, 5 things that you need to be a working actor, right? Okay, so you need, okay, I have to do this in the right order. You need recent recognizable footage, okay? You need your SAG card. You need contacts, the right attitude, and extra money. That's what you need. And out of all of those, this is the most important one, and that is contacts. No lie. She flips us off every night, and that's why we love her. But she's so right. Yep. She's absolutely right.
Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap this up now that you've flicked off the audience. But Lynn, thank you very much for sitting with us for what I think was probably an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yep, an hour and 37 minutes. So, thank you
Nice.
very much again.
Yep.
You'll see Lynn in Inoperable. I'm not sure. I saw one scene that you filmed, but I don't know if you filmed any more than that. You were just
No, I am. I can't believe okay. I'm an extra in Inoperable,
yeah.
but the reason being is because we literally just decided that that was going to happen right then and there, and we had no one else. And I was primarily just props on Inoperable, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And Chris is like, yeah, you think you're an actress? All right, let's see you do this. Man, I was crying, I was scared, I was dying. It was great.
It's a part. It's
It worked. I had fun with it. I did that simply because I wanted a cameo in it because it was fun to work on.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again very much, and we wish you the best of luck. I don't want to really say luck, but because you don't need luck since you have talent. So
Aw,
we wish you the best in all your endeavors in the future.
awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you around too. I mean, we're kind of in the same circles.
Yeah, we're just across the bay from each other. So
Exactly. It's like, hey.
all right, Lynn. Have yourself a good night.
All right, you too.
Thanks. Bye bye.